Happy Christmas Eve, friends. I hope you're doing good. I've got a couple new journals to go into the shop today. I'm not shipping anything out until January 5th, but things are going in the shop and can be purchased, but I won't be going to the post office until January 5th. You guys, I'm out of fabric. I'm out of paper. I'm out of brads for the front of these books. I am running low on embroidery floss. So these books are an amalgam of what I have on hand at the moment. This one is, and they're chock full of what I have on hand at the moment. I think it's a really sweet challenge to allow yourself to crash your stash, to look for things in your stash, and to use what you have. A really good example of this is that I am running so low on embroidery floss, and I had no embroidery floss to do the binding of this book and put beads on it. So I opted for this cool, funky, pom-pom-ish yarn, which I really do love, and that just worked just great. But because it's kind of chunky, I couldn't get beads on it. But I did leave the tail really long, you know, if you want to put beads on it. You know, you always customize your journals. You do what you want to with them. Don't have any brads, so I'm using wooden buttons that I have sewn on. I'm running low on fabric, so this is a quilted fabric pattern that I have stuck on here and then sewn as well. It's really fun to just use what you have. I think that I've been doing a lot of reading lately about, you know, we have our 3x3 mini book, and this one I made out of an old, like, cookbook kind of thing that had some advertising in it, but I thought the cover was really interesting, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? I have some super duper old vintage handwriting right here, and this is the real deal Lucille. This isn't like a printable or anything like that. Taking advantage of my my big time painting that I'm doing right now. I'm painting big pieces of packing paper, and it's really a lot of fun to do that. I'm also altering greeting cards and really taking advantage of having a lot of paint, and some of it has even dried up, and I'm rescuing it by putting a few drops of water in it, and or you know, even weird things like you know, I'm using clear gesso sometimes to drop in a bottle and get the last dregs out. But it's been an interesting journey, and I highly recommend it. And honestly, if things just keep going like this, I may change the entire way that I do these flow journals, because I think that they are a more personal approach than using the paper pads that you know, I've grown accustomed to, and I will keep buying them, but I am loving this this new approach because it encourages me, and it'll encourage you guys. You know, as you look through your journal, you'll go, oh yeah, you know, I could do that, or I could make my own elements, or I could, you know, put a few things together and, you know, wham bam, call it a cluster. Now this cluster has this number 8 on it. It also has a peacock napkin, you know, as well as some botanical elements over here. Painted paper. I've always encouraged people to pull these elements out. That's one thing that is so charming and fun about I've been making envelopes to put in here. So this is an actual envelope. Because you can pull things out and you can replace them, and you can shuffle things around, and you can create signatures that are uniquely you. It's just a lot of fun to have a book that is self-contained. Let's say you're starting on an art journey and you just don't know exactly where to start. This book is full of ideas, it's full of prompts, it's full of projects, it's full of ideas and inspiration. So you can just get started on an art journey, and then you can decide, well, you know, I like painting, or I like playing with paper, or I like stamping, or I don't like stamping, or I like folding, or I don't like folding. You know, you have all these options. I mean, paper's an awesome thing, isn't it? Paper is, you know, paper is like working with clay. If you have a lump of clay, you can make, you know, you can make a cup, you can make a mug, you can make a bowl, you can make a plate. There's just, you know, you can make a decorative piece, a teapot. My Uncle Michael Sherrill makes teapots. That's how he started in, on his personal art journey, and now, you know, his pieces are in the White House. He just had an installment at the Smithsonian Institute. There's a really, and think about that. So that started with a lump of clay, y'all. And this is the same kind of thing. This is your lump of clay. This is, you know, ribbons, stickers, images, napkins, things to decoupage, things to collage, things to paint. And, you know, if you aren't into painting, well, you've got a lot of painted elements in here anyway. These little embellishment cards, this was from a pile of junk that I had on the corner of my desk. So if you end up with little piles of junk, you know, and we're going into a new year, and that often means that we want to declutter, we want to go through our stash. And, you know, when you're going through your stash, just kind of remember, you know, I could do things with this stash, or at some point, y'all, and this is where I benefit so wonderfully from your sweet, sweet gifts, is that often I will be the recipient of what you don't want. And pass along that love, y'all. Pass it along to whoever you want to. Pass it along to Goodwill. Pass it along to your community organizations that are working with children now to provide art lessons for them, as art lessons are not available in schools right now because we aren't going to school. I love this photograph. It took a lot for me to include this in this flow journal. Love Jimmy Carter. I love Greg Allman. And to have Jimmy Carter just looking on our brother Greg is just, it's just the sweetest thing, y'all. And I just, you know, so if you get this journal, that's a sweet element in there because they were friends. And of course, you know, I've been stamping, I've been painting, I've been doing slow sewing. I'm really hunkered down for the next few weeks and using what I have. We went to Lowe's the other day because we had to, Chris is so brilliant, he had the idea that we could install these strips of carpet on our bare stairs leading up to his studio and to my studio. So Mia would not slip on the stairs. We've been very worried about her. And so we started carrying her up, and it was like, she's 40 pounds. And you know, it was really hard for me to carry her up the stairs. So we went to Lowe's, and Lowe's is about 2 stores down from Michael's. And at that time, you know, I'm out of everything, and I'm thinking, you know, might go over to Michael's. And then it was like, nope. Gonna use what I have. That was a good trip to take because it encouraged me to come home and go, okay, you know, I've got stuff I can work with, and I am just going to continue to process what I have and create my journals. Chris did put the strips down on the stairs, and they're awesome and they're wonderful. He did a great job. And Mia is so much happier when she can safely get up the stairs. Now, the stairs were not her domain for a long, long time. She was not into stairs. But over the past few months, she has really wanted to be upstairs when we are upstairs. I love this little piece right here. It's called Purr. It has elements of a Kleenex box. It has this awesome ribbon right here. Now, this is an example of a cluster. You can just pull this out and work with it. The fabric features all kinds of kitty cats and funky sunglasses. Just a whole lot of fun, my friends. All right, let's take a look. We'll call this one we'll call this one 12 because that's kind of, well, you know, I made it in the 12th month of the year, so that seems like a good thing to call this baby. Again, on this one, you guys, we've got a cobbled cover. I did lay it down with some Mod Podge just to kind of get all the pieces together on this. The background is, let's see if I can move this away so you can kind of see it, is it's handwriting. It's white handwriting on a gray background, and it just really worked well with what I was trying to do as far as cobble pieces together because of my aforementioned fabric shortage. But even the fabric shortage is working really well. I'm out of papers, but last week my friend Lorraine, via my friends Jody and Tom, who provide me with all kinds of boxes and the National Geographic magazines that I use, dropped by a whole pad, you guys, of vintage construction paper. So I thought, oh my gosh, you know, could that be any better? And so I did use vintage construction paper here, and it is vintage. It's probably 20 years old, and you can tell it, okay? You can tell that it did not, you know, when I used the paper cutter to cut it, it kind of raggedied it up. Raggedied it up. Yeah, that's a new word. But it wasn't because my paper cutter blade was dull. It was because the paper was so old, and I did end up, you know, just hand cutting some of it. I made use of a couple Christmas catalogs that I got. I think this was called Mackenzie Rothschild. I've forgotten what this is called, but I really did love the colors, especially in these Christmas catalogs, are just divine. Divine, divine, divine. Little fabric element here. My friend Kathy gave me a stamp catalog, you know, one of those philatelic stamp magazines, which I dig. I'm using my Oklahoma travel brochures as pieces and parts of these books. As you guys know, I'm doing a big paint project like I mentioned, and I'm also using my spent dryer sheets to give this paper a bit of heft and a bit of interest, a bit of texture. So that is a lot of fun to work with. Again, you know, you have this cluster here. Everything is cut out. All you have to do is just paste things down. This is a little piece that I made from a bunch of scraps that I had on my desk. I like this one. It says Time Warp. That always makes me think of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But you know, I'm embarrassed because I've never watched the whole Rocky Horror Picture Show. Maybe I'll do that at Halloween this year. I do love Tim. What's his last name? Tim. Oh, well, that just went straight out of my head. You got little bits of trim here on some bits of. I think this is like maybe a fabric that you would use to wrap a wreath in. I was just trying to put together all my little bits and bobs. And of course, these are my painted index cards that have the bread tie pull on them. And those are always fun to work with. I'll be doing a lot of that today. I'll be doing a lot of painting. I'm also doing some kitchen crafting, and that means I'm going to be making cold clay. I will be making some homemade molding paste as well. As I'm trying a new recipe for bath bombs because I would kind of like to put those in my Etsy store. But, you know, all kinds of experiments going on, and I'm taking my experiments into the kitchen. Kitchen crafting today. Love this fabric. It's probably one of my most favorite fabrics I've ever been blessed with. National Geographic maps are so super cool. Love this arrangement. Isn't that beautiful with the Granny Smith apples there? A little bit of Tim Holtz scrunch board. If you've never used that before, it's a lot of fun to work with. Has like this kind of weird leather-ish smell to it, but you know, you don't really notice it unless you have a lot of it in your office. Then it's like, smells like a leather shop in here. Mermaid Kisses and Starfish Wishes. This is like this is ribbon that has a mermaid on it, kind of like a mermaid theme going on here. I am really digging the hands to hand cutouts from magazines and brochures. I like this one too. It says Imagination. You still have your vintage papers, you still have your magazine images, but you know, and things like this have so many words on it that you could just, you know, take out the art trading cards in this book and make you a batch of art trading cards. And that would be a lot of fun too. Okay, my friends, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and photograph these babies, and we will get these in the shop. Remember that I'm not mailing anything until January the 5th. It's not fun to go to the post office right now. So mailing January the 5th. These books are $42. They're $8.40 to get to you. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.